Pals for Life. Hey everyone, welcome back to Pals for Life. Pals for Life is weekly radio for anyone who wants to enjoy World of Warcraft with some extra pals. Today is December 14th, 2014. My name is Wilson, and I'm joined today by Randall.
What's going on, guys?
And Lane.
Hello, everyone.
Today we'll be featuring a section of the show called the Twisting Nether. This is going to be where Randall has a semi-flagrant monologue about something random in World of Warcraft. But for now, let's jump right into this. Our Spellbreaker topic is downloadable. It's been floating around, and it's WoW Cards Against Humanity. So, Cards Against Humanity is pretty fun.
Yeah. I think a lot of us on the show are adults here, and we can appreciate this kind of game. So
maybe we should have done this for an explicit episode or something.
Yeah, it would have probably been a little better there.
Okay, maybe we'll revisit it a little bit on our explicit episode if we end up doing
a live streaming of us playing the game.
Right, but here's a few of the black cards here, which is the fill in the blanks. You are not prepared for blank. And then you could have things like Britney Spears suing over the Blood Elf dance, or obsessive cosplayers, or a lush, magnificent beard.
Wow.
Something Wilson won't ever have.
Murloc. Oh gosh. Era 37.
Or, undead necrophilia. Wow.
Oh.
You make these up, Wilson?
No. I mean, I probably could. But, what does Jaina Proudmoore dream about at night?
Rage quitting.
Chainmail bikinis.
LARPers.
Why would she be dreaming about chainmail bikinis? Isn't that kind of weird?
Well, maybe she wants one.
Yeah, she's been wanting one for a while.
I think they messed that one up a little bit.
Well, she didn't mess it.
They
didn't mess it up.
All dreams about Jaina in a chainmail bikini. You know what I mean? Like that would be the way.
Well, I was just putting two and two together there.
Have you played Cards Against Humanity, son?
Yeah, I'm just questioning their design right there. I mean,
that wasn't their design.
This is the point, though. You put the rent.
It's emergent.
Together.
Yeah. I'm saying, dude.
Here we go. Here's a good one. Blank, the new epic mount.
Soon TM.
Hogger. All sorts of fun stuff.
Night Elf Mohawk.
The 5-minute break your raid leader gives that turns into 20. You know that too well.
Yes, sir.
WoW fanfic. Alright, there's a lot of good stuff on here, so anyway, there's a download link that you'll find, a safe place to download something on the internet if you want. And you can get all these cards for free.
Look at your own risk.
It's not a risk though. I have it open right now. My computer has not died. There's no computer dying.
Time bomb.
Huh.
Let's see. Let's get one last one. I'm gonna say one and then you guys try to fill it in.
Gosh.
All right. Only players from vanilla truly understand blank.
Randall.
Molten Core.
Server maintenance?
How about inappropriate use of polymorphed sheep? Wow. These all kind of but they do hold on to the inappropriateness of Cards Against Humanity, so I like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
well made.
That's great. Yeah.
Honestly, well made. And there's a crap ton of them.
Yep, and you can print these out just at home for free, or I'm sure you could go to, like a office supply store and get them more professionally printed.
Here, to put it in perspective, there are 32 pages of 9 apiece of the white cards. Let's see. Of the black cards, there are 11 pages of 9. So, yeah, pretty crazy amount, honestly.
So, feel free to check those out at your own discretion. But we are going to move over to...
Is there any sort of source on those? I'm just curious real quick. Is there any source on them? Do we know who made them or anything?
Actually, this is all from user Gigawatt8383. He just made these and shared them online.
That's cool.
Okay, cool.
And it's all free to check out, so kudos to him for helping us out. So we're going to move over to Tavern Talk. This is basically news and rumors heard from all over. And the first item on the list is a pretty interesting one. The requirements to play and roll a Death Knight have been lifted or will be lifted in a new content patch. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. We actually had a friend of ours who has just started playing recently, and he really wanted to play a Death Knight, but, he didn't have the capability to because he had a restriction against Death Knights. And it kind of sucks now, it's like a few weeks later from when he started. Now he's already boosted his character, and he's playing a warrior, and he really wanted to play Death Knight. So
he's gonna rage.
Kind of bittersweet, actually.
I actually did the same thing. I wanted to play that Death Knight. I was thinking about it when I was making my character again, and it didn't happen, obviously. But I mean, they're right. It's essentially paying money to bypass that. So I'm really glad that they're taking it away.
Yeah. And, I mean, Death Knights are really only fun if you like waddling around, so it's okay.
Already then.
Yeah, I mean, basically it's just, this is from Nethera on the forums, but with, level 90 boost being a thing, having the requirement to own a level 55 or higher to get DK, it was kind of silly, right?
It made sense back when they first announced it, because it's supposed to be kind of like a hero class. That was the idea.
It was a premium class, yeah.
And then, but since they totally stopped that whole thing, and every class is, in its own way, like, very good and unique, like, it doesn't make sense to have, like, a single premium class. It's just a waste of everyone's time trying to do all the necessities to be able to play that, especially for new players. It's not quite fair. And
that just reminds me of kind of way back in the day, there was the talk about what hero classes were going to be.
Yeah.
That was pretty insane.
There was a lot of crazy stuff going to go on, yeah.
They're going to be hyper-specialized versions of the classes we see today. Yep. And so, like, for example, like, a hunter would have been able to, like, a dwarf hunter would have the ability to become a mountaineer.
Yeah, dude.
Which would have a whole new set of tricks involved. Would have been pretty deep.
Dude, they're thinking about that just like, let's not talk about it, dude. I'm kind of sad right now. Of what could have been.
What could they have done with that? I hate to.
Well, like, they have, like undead rogues could have been Deathstalkers.
It was race and class specific,
yeah,
so it was very cool.
Like, race and classes each had, like, races had their own classes in a way, like hero classes, kind of, if that makes sense. It's like, cause like there are different things each races can have, like there are mountaineers that are dwarfs, and they're only dwarfs, right? And then Deathstalkers are like these, like, undead, like, assassins who kill a lot of people for the Horde, right? And you could only be undead for that. And then there's a whole bunch of different stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay, but they didn't do that with Death Knights, though. Death Knights were everyone, right?
Yeah. Death Knights everyone.
That was kind of their solution, was just to have a premium class instead that was a little easier to implement. Because
obviously a few things are more thought of, like, for the time and not for the future, though. Like, if you think about how the Death Knight was presented, it was thought about right then or in the now of then. And it really didn't have any idea of, like, what would be coming, so. Which, I mean, that's all you can do. You can't, like, plan for the future too much.
I feel like the Death Knight just gets so much flack. Like, I mean, every time on the forum, it's just like, or anytime you read forums, it's always like, DKs never know what they're doing. That's like the general sense I get. And I feel like I've gotten pwned by some competent DKs.
I think a lot of times people just like to look for an excuse for why someone may have done poorly, or they thought someone had done poorly, less than because someone actually did poorly. And, and then, like, also maybe like, the average WoW player isn't that good even. That could be another thing.
Right.
I mean, any class isn't like, what's it called? Not everyone's gonna master every class that they play, I don't think. And Death Knight's not an exception. I think people just like to complain about Death Knight because of, it's in a different kind of league, I guess, and how it's formatted. It's different than all the other classes.
Yeah, I mean, they've been through some pretty tumultuous changes too, right? Like with Blood completely shifting.
I mean, Blood used to be a damage spec, and then Frost used to be a tank spec. And
they flipped those, right?
Yeah, dude, I still hate that, dude. I played Blood when I first, we had our first DKs listening in Wrath. We started them, like, fresh, I think, too, like, at launch. And, I don't really know why they changed that. I guess they just thought it would fit better thematically. But, I still miss Blood DK as a DPS spec.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. I like you just played big and you won big.
Yeah, that's just, and it's just because I played it first. You know what I mean? That's the only real reason, probably.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, getting back to, like, this change, basically they thought they were going to remove the limitation, sometime in the next week, but they kind of looked into the change. They found they needed to change some things on the client side, so it's going to be a little later, but it should be in an upcoming content patch. So if you're looking to get, or you haven't used your 90 boosts yet and you want to use it on a DK, then maybe wait a little longer and you'll be able to do that.
And, just, that had me thinking you're talking about, them doing updates. If people don't know that they've added the first part of the LFR for Highmall actually too, and we didn't add that in the notes, but I just thought about it right now.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely update the notes. So you're saying that Highmall's coming out for LFR next week?
No, the first part
the
of
second
it
one
has already come out, and then the next wave is coming out next week.
So on Tuesday.
Yeah. On Tuesday.
Okay,
we'll have
so
the second part.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So all but the last boss will be doable on LFR then.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's pretty legit. My eye level is almost there.
We can do it. I think it does. It's like 6:15.
I'm 6:20. Okay, well we need to.
Yeah, we can do it.
We need to get that going.
Close, buddy.
Yeah, dude, I hate the gear in LFR does not look nearly as good as the gear you get from the actual
PvP.
raid.
Oh yeah, that's part of the fun, right?
Oh yeah, I'm glad they did that though. I mean, it gives more incentive to go do that, because a lot of the stuff I do for like PvE wise is for aesthetics. So.
All right. Well, then there's always transmog, so you can always hide the truth.
Yeah, that's true, dude.
It's true. I mean,
it's like makeup.
It's fun looking on. It is. It's like, oh man, I love looking at transmog websites too, where people have taken time to like create like some cool pieces of gear, or rather sets of gear out of random pieces.
Dude, Grinkle's looking pretty mean right now, dude.
There's just an insane amount of stuff you can do that with now in World of Warcraft.
That's like what I spend half my time in the game doing is transmog. It's also a good way to make gold because, doing like higher level raids, like, not current level, but, like 85 raids, you can make good gold. Like,
by the way, if you're looking to get into the transmog game is like a legitimate business, apparently if you get the salvage yard and you upgrade that thing, you can really get some cool stuff. I was checking out some posts of people showing off their T-Boos blazing longswords that have dropped for them.
Dude, I thought I was seeing
blades
more
of wizardry.
Dude, I swear that I saw more T-Boos on the auction house recently.
These are like hyper rare items that used to basically not drop in the game that are now just cropping up because of the garrison system.
I wonder if that'll lower the prices any.
I don't think it'll lower them. I think that it may lower them a bit, but I think that they'll stabilize because they're still going to be kind of rare. I'm sure they're just introducing a few of these items into the world at a time.
And I mean, that also said, major gameplay changes, like Garrison can always, swap up the rarity of some things. And we've already seen how that's happened in the economy, so not unsurprising that some of the items are becoming that way too.
Right. I just think that everybody's going to have, everyone's going to want to get into the transmog game at a different time, so I feel like you just got to be patient and you're going to make your money.
Oh, yeah.
But T-Boo's Blazing Longsword is, in my opinion, just one of the rarest items in the game. I can't think of something more rare.
Do you remember it's in the box on the game? Or it's on the back of the box?
It's on the back of the box.
I know where it's at, I think,
the original game.
Like at the bottom left, I think. Maybe.
Yeah.
I have to fact check that, but pretty close.
I'm definitely looking this thing up right now, see what it looks like.
It's a pretty sweet
like a lightsaber type thing,
Yeah, I like the splash art.
The splash art is what it's... The splash art's better than the actual art, though. That is very true.
So anyway, side note about getting your salvage yard going. If you want to find junk items, but also every once in a while a really cool piece of transmog gear, that's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Our next item here is basically, this is a Reddit thread that I was checking out, but basically Redditors are clamoring for a quest log increase. So, Dear Blizzard, is with utmost respect that we request an increase in total quests allowed in the quest log. Sincerely, the players. This went really positive on Reddit, and I think that it's something that I've seen it as a topic on the forums too. It sucks. I mean, I feel like I've abandoned a lot of quests.
Oh yeah,
how many
dude.
total can you take?
25.
25.
And it may sound a lot to you, Lane, but when you get like when you have quests spanning over 4 or 5 different areas, like expansion areas, it gets ridiculous.
Yeah, full expansion areas, not just a zone and expansion continent, but I've got quests from, and maybe that just means I need to take care of them.
Yeah.
But I've got a quest from Serpent Shrine Cavern I still want to finish.
That's some old stuff.
Yeah, and then you keep stuff like that because I'll do this sometime, but it's going to take a little bit and I don't feel like doing it right now. But you don't want to lose it either.
You also don't want to lose it because you don't know who the heck has that quest. It might be some obscure NPC in a little hole in the ground.
And then sometimes you can't, some quests you can't get anymore is another thing also. And so that makes it hard. When we were in Draenor, I was finishing up my leveling. I was 99 in Nagrand, and I was filled up on quests, and I kept having to dump quests and dump quests and dump quests. And I was like, this is ridiculous. What is this about? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, and the thing what really bothers me, I guess, is that they've changed completely, like, the way the quest log appears in game. Like, the user interface design is completely different. I don't know why we couldn't just not have a quest log anymore, right? Like, is there really a need for it to even be there? Like, you look at other kind of more open RPGs, they don't have, like, a limit on what you can pick up.
Yeah. I think, cause I do think they do that on purpose so, like, people don't overwhelm themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, like maybe they're just not paying attention to some quests that they have and like, oh, I already had this or that or whatever. But
I just think it'd be cool to
have like a pretty ridiculous like limit, like 100 or something,
Well, I just think it'd be cool. You look at your map and you're like, all right, I guess I'm going to go take care of all these quests.
That's a good point too, though, honestly.
Or at least for me, I think having like a garrison quest slot. Like a slot for all the quests that happen.
Someone brought up like a daily quest slot or something like that.
That would work too. Like just some way to like filter out, because it's basically you get not spam mail, but like every day you get different little quests you can do from your garrison, and it's like 5 quests.
Yep.
And you may be maxed out on quests because you have like the 3 quests that are due for your legendary ring quest.
Why did they even make those into separate quests?
That's a little obnoxious.
Just I guess they did it maybe to make it seem like, like a bigger venture kind of.
That's true. Like kind of
you do get like a little more gratification when you have to turn in all this stuff at once, as opposed to one thing. Mm-hmm. I can actually see why they did that. But seeing as there's such a strain on quest log as it is, it's not a good idea.
They have to do a little bit of working around to figure out how to make that work.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. I just sometimes like I do want to just see the old quest log though.
What was the old quest log?
It was just like a list that had like the titles of all the quests and like they're all and like split up into the zone they came from.
Oh yeah.
And it was just text based with a slight organization. It was just easy because you could quickly see like all of the quests you had. Because otherwise you have to like check the map for which quests you wanted to look at.
Yeah.
Which gets a little obnoxious. You're like, crap, where is this quest base?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of annoying. Like, they kind of merge the quest log into the map.
Yes,
but
which is cool.
It's cool, but it's kind of annoying because the way they put you into it, you don't look at all of your quests immediately, and you have to press another setting to change it back to the full quest log. And it's just not as appealing either. I don't know. It's kind of distracting.
It seems like some of the new like changes that have happened because of the garrison system and because of like the slightly different design approach with Draenor have made a lot of things kind of obsolete. Like they haven't been completely updated, and I think that the DK change is proof of that.
Yeah, definitely.
I almost did a boss fight on how I thought the 90 character boost was kind of oversighting a lot of things that previously, required experience, but I didn't feel like I had enough experience with it to do so. But I guess this kind of proves that I was on some sort of right track. It'll be interesting to see if they change anything else for that later on. But
well, I don't know. One thing I'm looking at is so if you have like a character that's level 60, right, Lane, and you boost it to 90,
yeah,
you actually get your professions auto upgraded to a cap for level 90.
Wow, that's
which is a lot of
really reset every level or every 10 levels. Do you get like more cap on the?
Basically, every expansion you get like a new tier of mastery.
So it has to be 60 and then the 90.
Right. So basically, like if I were to like power level a level 50 character, his or her professions would not be affected.
Okay.
But I think that they may end up lifting that, and they may just say, well, if you decide to spend $60 and boost a character, kind of after everyone uses their free one, then they're going to say, oh, well, you're actually going to get your professions boosted anyway, even if it's level 1. So that way you can start the game out with your professions good to go.
Then this makes me even a little more queasy over this whole situation. It's seriously like Blizzard's just trying to forget the first half of their game exists nowadays. It feels that way. They're trying to make people skip all the early stuff.
For me, I would love to understand what this means in the greater context of like, all right, we're 2 expansions down the road. Am I still going to be paying $60 just to get to 90, or could I spend $60 and get to 110?
That is very true.
That's something I don't know if that's completely thought out, because sure, there's a roadmap for 10 more years of World of Warcraft, but what about this paying to level up thing? Is that going to be evolving?
I
think it will.
We'll just be doing this every time. This is the first time they've included it with an expansion, is it not?
This is the first time they've had any kind of leveling service.
Okay, first off, that's like the dawn of the microtransaction almost, I would say. Not only that, but since the game is so old now, a lot of people just don't feel like doing the first part anymore, which is, again, part of the reason so many people are skipping the early levels, and part of the reason they're kind of not caring about the early levels, and obviously not entirely true, but still, it's
definitely one thing they should have done is, thought about how to integrate the earlier portions with the newer portions, and how to, to make leveling a smooth experience at every X-Pack so people could start from 1 to 100 and have a fresh experience.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go ahead and switch over to a new section of the show called the Twisting Nether, which is a portion of the show where we kind of decide to go on a flagrant monologue rant about something that has popped into our minds about World of Warcraft.
All right, Randall, continue.
We were already pretty much on that, and we were talking about leveling, and now I'm off track because
you were saying how you think they should have done a better job doing smoother leveling from
something they should do is really make people want to level in the game. And
it's not a goal anymore.
Yeah, and like having that same level like 1 to 60 and all that, and then having the BCB all the same. Like they don't like if they wanted to upgrade the game, they can, if they want to, get rid of older areas even. I mean, I know transmog is important to a lot of people, but honestly, it's not. I don't think it's a big enough deal to like have stale content. Like imagine if like they updated the game to where people got to level from 1 to 100 with fresh experience every time. People would start liking the game for the gameplay again, and less just to rush to 100.
Yeah, and I
think anyway.
Leveling is really, there's no purpose to leveling anymore other than, grinding it out for a character.
Exactly. It's
right?
not fun for anyone anymore.
This is actually interesting because I don't know how many games have gotten to this point where the original driving force, I mean, a lot of games have gotten to the point where the driving force that originally drove you has gone away. But WoW is literally so old that people just don't care to do what the game was originally made for. You were originally made to level, get to level cap, and then when you're at level cap, you do the max level stuff. Now it's people don't level anymore. People just skip that, get to level cap, and do the high level stuff.
And dude, I remember back, when we was to start a Classic, like there are tons of people who weren't level cap.
Yeah.
I mean, like a huge amount.
That wasn't really a problem, was the cool thing.
Yeah, it was just because you're having fun playing the game. Like
that's interesting. I mean, they've been, I guess, would this be a byproduct of them making too much endgame content and not enough mid-game content? Like, if there's no reason to, like, play the stuff, if there's no compelling reason to play the middle ground stuff, then why would you?
You know what I think it is a lot of? It's, like, kind of the elitism of, like, the gaming community. Everyone in the gaming community just, like, wants to, like, do, like, really crazy stuff now. And
be the best.
And be the best. That's what it ultimately comes down to, right? Is be the best. And the only way to be the best is to, be at the top of your game, or of the game, right? And then the only way to do that is to be at max level. So then all you do is put all of your content at the end of the game, and you force people to level up very quickly, and then they just sit there trying to battle each other,
Yeah.
Which ultimately is almost just like, PvP in a different sense, even for people who are doing like, raiding and stuff, because they're competing against other guilds to be the first to beat that boss and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's definitely not all Blizzard's fault. I mean, just gamers in general are so competitive and so driven to try and be the best these days, because that seems to be the end goal for pretty much everything, isn't it?
I mean, it's a whole lot less about having fun now. That is definitely for sure.
It's crazy.
I wanted to talk about something. It was about PvP, which is all I do.
Horde.
Oh, so, it's funny, I talk about Horde not being focused on, as far as storytelling goes, at least or Alliance, I should say, sorry. I don't think Alliance's lore is as good as the Horde, basically. Like, Horde lore is so much cooler probably because it's dynamic, and Alliance is mostly goody-goody, tries to be. And then even the ones that aren't goody-goody, almost don't even feel like they're part of the Alliance anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Besides Medivh, but.
Yeah. Illidan, I don't even associate with the Alliance anymore, really. He's his own, he's in his own thing.
Illidan's
not
his
even
own dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's PvP's really unbalanced right now. If you look at, and this is only arena ladders, so I mean, obviously it doesn't stand for everything, but it means a lot, as far as, at least kind of micro battles go, because their racials just aren't as good for PvP right now. I mean, dwarves have this thing that gives them 10% less damage and shake shake off all the dots and stuff on them right now, which is crazy.
Love it.
Gnomes have like, they can get out of a root, which some roots last like 8 seconds, which is impossible.
But they're little.
I mean, it makes sense, right? They can just slip under it, but, which is crazy because, like warriors and other classes, they have to sit in these 8-second roots, which is almost a stun for range when they're against a range class or something, right? Obviously you have humans who've had the most OP, PvP ratio in the game since forever. Well, I think Undead was maybe better at one point, but it's got nerfed a few times. And because they can use 2 damage trinkets instead of having to use a combat trinket, so they just innately do more damage and don't have to worry about that. But all that said, that's the hordes don't really have anything to compete with that. Like Undead do have Will of the Forsaken, but it's just not as good, and it's on too long of a cooldown to be competitive against the Alliance racials. And then Torrents do have War Stomp, but you have to cast it, and it's not a long enough stun to really be reliable, I don't think. So,
what about Trolls?
I think they have some kind of damage buff, and it's like really, it's super, it's been nerfed and it's reduced in PvP, I think also. And same with Orc. So yeah, I mean, they're like, I feel kind of bad right now that it's so unbalanced. And I think this is partially because they tried to equalize, some of the racials. And what they did was they buffed a lot of the Alliance racials, but none of the Horde. Well, they did kind of buff the Undead one, but it wasn't enough to make them like the most competitive class.
These honestly to me just sound, I mean, I've never even thought about racials. Is there a specific, like, level you unlock them or something?
No, you have them when you start the game, I think.
Okay. I honestly...
Yeah, it's an 8.
I've never even thought about that, and that makes sense that it's an 8, obviously. I've never even thought about racials, to be totally honest. And
yeah, it comes really big.
That sounds like a terrible idea to me.
It used to be, I mean, it was supposed to be, back when the game was less competitive, it was more thematic, right?
Yeah.
Like, it made sense with their lore kind of thing. But,
yeah, it sounds like it's just, especially now that the game is super complicated and has a ton more moving parts than it probably did when it started.
I mean, it's evolved into something so different now.
Yeah, and it's like, it's supposed to, I don't know if do you think they originally made it to be like a game changer? That's what it sounds like it is now. Instead of being like, a little...
I honestly think when they first made it, like, at the very beginning, they were just like, oh, these are cool, basically. Because, like, they didn't think about anything being really competitive. It was just a game, I think, And it was supposed to be hard, but not really fighting against other people, right? And so it was a little less important then. But now that everyone's, trying to, there's millions and millions of people playing and stuff, I think they know that it's a thing. But one, Blizzard's, like, reasonably prideful. So they don't like to overhaul all their stuff because one, it says they're wrong. And 2, it changes the whole gameplay, which is kind of like disturbing for a lot of people because they've been used to the game so long.
Uh-huh.
Right. Well, forums will get mad.
Yeah. And, so, I think they're just they do little changes all the time and like they're trying to bide their time till they've got a reasonable fix. But I mean, you can tell that it's unbalanced though. It's something like the top 90 players are Alliance and then you'll finally see a Horde somewhere in there. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, come on. Like, there's an obvious imbalance in.
What is the Draenei racial?
Gift of Inari.
Oh.
It's a heal over time.
It's actually a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah,
it used to be terrible.
So you get these really, I didn't realize Gift of the Naru was, racial. I should have probably known that. What's the Pandaren?
They do something weird. I think it's like they can sap people basically for a small amount of time. Okay. Which it's like kind of a stunish type thing.
Yeah. The old karate chop to the neck.
Oh yeah, no, I remember that.
Is that what it is?
It's called though. I think it's a stun. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just made that up.
It's not a karate chop to the neck, Wilson.
I'll look it up. And Darren racial.
Can we cut? Can we?
you got a little thing there going on. I'm too slow at this. Just keep going.
Go on without you.
Yeah, go on without me.
But yeah, there's a pretty big imbalance right now, and I think I don't know that it's. I mean, like, it's not technically important, I guess, because people should just be trying to play the game to have fun. But right. I think it sucks because people like want to play a class, and it's just like they're so outclassed by other races. It's unfair.
Looks like it is Quaking Palm, which is incapacitating for 4 seconds and turns off your attack.
That's basically what I had envisioned with karate chop to the neck. Like,
Quake Paul Wilson. All right.
I've got a real knack for this type of thing.
Apparently.
Well, weird
stuff. The next expansion, when we have the new race, if they have a player submission for what the racial should be, I might have a competitive submission.
Good luck, bro.
All right, you guys will give me a +1, I know.
+0.
Back to what I was talking about. I think they should probably just remove racials, though. Unfortunately, I do like the idea of it being unique, but when it comes to the point that someone has to play a race over a race to be competitive, it's unfortunate.
I see all these other ones for just the Pandora, and I'm just looking at it right now, and it's like cooking skills increased by 15. Your rested experience bonus lasts twice as long.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that doesn't really matter.
That's cool though.
It is thematic.
Cool. That is thematic.
But you see, I've even got that mentality a little bit, right? I'm like level 100. I don't give a shit about cooking.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah, I can understand where those completely just lose any sort of meaning later on. But I mean, that's like, you take half fall damage. Completely useless, but I mean, they're supposed to be light on their feet, which is weird because they're pandas, but I mean, I don't know, that's cool. That is thematic. That is exactly what racials probably should be, and I think this is still an outside perspective, which is what I am most of the time. Actives that are like game changing for racials are probably always going to be a terrible idea because it's always going to give somebody a bias towards something.
And that's a good point. Maybe they should just make racials that are fun, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just like interesting things about the class, thematic and enjoyable, maybe slightly useful, but not like
more aesthetic, maybe.
Yeah, aesthetic possibly.
Yeah.
Who knows what exactly, but something like that.
All right. Well, I think this is a successful first Nether.
Yeah, just a little uncontrollable burst of discussion. I like it. So we're going to move over to Trade Chat, and this is the section of the show where we interact with the listeners. And Trevor, who is a stalwart listener of the show, kind of gave me some feedback from last week's show, and I was trying to figure out how the heck you can get weapons and armor mods for your followers. And basically the way you do that is by, one, getting a Dwarven bunker. You can basically get green, blue, and purple gear to equip your guys with, which will help them, bring home more bacon. So that's cool. And I'd like to I do have a Dwarven bunker, so I'm going to be outfitting my raiders with only the finest gear, gold-plated as well, just for kicks.
Finest wares in the land.
Finest wares in the land. Also, so pretty much in Trevor's opinion, the bunker and the barn are the two best buildings that you can really get for a garrison. So, yeah, and basically the barn kind of helps you get pretty sweet mounts.
Yeah.
I think you can also get savage blood from the barn, which sells for a lot.
Right. That's it. You get the savage blood from the barn. The stables is more for mount stuff. But yeah, the savage blood's used to craft all epic items or epic crafted items.
Yeah.
In terms of armor and weapons.
Yeah, the upgraded versions anyway.
Alright, so there you go. Bunker and barn, those are the two pretty much best buildings you can get for your garrison. And Trevor also brought an interesting point about if, for some reason they had taken away being able to level up Draenei in Azure-Mist, that maybe people would talk about this quest as like they were actually, really cool, because they would have not been able to play them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting, because it was, I remember there were some neat storytelling moments in there.
Yeah, there were a couple cool ones.
Anyway, I liked Azure-Mist. Not everyone does. But I think Trevor is a fan as well.
Yeah, definitely some people like it, for sure. I'm not one of those people, but, I'm sure there are people out there. It's kind of like, how, a mother loves her child, it's one of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you think your child's like very, a handsome little kid, doesn't mean I agree.
A face only a mother could love.
Exactly. That's kind of Azure style. Exactly. That's what I meant to say, actually. It just came out weird.
And one last thing is that Trevor thinks that maybe in future expansions that we may not have the gathering aspect of the garrison, so that the gathering professions will kind of fall back into favor. And people who have dropped mining because they have the mine may end up ultimately kind of screwed because they'll have to go back and pick it up.
That's exactly why I'm keeping it on my road. Because, I feel like they're going to do something, maybe, I don't know what exactly, but something with the gathering profession, so the people who did level them up just aren't cheated out of anything.
I think they're going to do some maybe content patch where they're like, oh, alright, rare herbs and rare minerals are out in Draenor for some reason.
Yeah, that's what they would have to do is pretty much just make an exclusive thing to somewhere where you couldn't get it in the garrison, I think.
Right.
That's going to piss off a lot of people, acceptable. But yeah, it is.
I think it's expected.
Yeah.
So, anyway, thanks a lot to Trevorius Maximus, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Fierce Legions, and loyal servant of the true King Magni for checking in with us. And if you want to come play with us on Emerald Dream, we have an Alliance side guild, PFL. You can find our battle tags in the show notes, even if you just want to hit us up in-game sometime just to chat. We'd love to hear from you. But at this point, we are going to close out the show. Thanks for the group, and thanks for tuning in this week. Please feel free to shoot us any questions, complaints, or screenshots of your time lost Protodrake to pals@palsforlife.net. And to listen to any of our previous episodes, check out our website, palsforlife.net. And, I mean, you're already listening to the show, but in case you didn't know, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and anywhere else podcasts are found. Until next time, this has been Pals for Life.
See ya!
Peace. We're done.
Oh, God, okay. Yeah, we're done. Okay, alright. Later. Bye.
Alright, now we're actually done.
Okay, yeah, now we're actually
Yeah, Wilson, hurry up, dude, do something.
Alright, y'all ready to... Y'all ready for this?
I knew you were going to do Space Jam. Before you even thought about it.